Welcome into a live edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, presented by Go Chevrolet. Remember, online at GEAUXchevrolet.com is how you get in touch with Go Chevrolet. They're easy to find online at GoChevrolet.com. Slide that up. There you go. Keep going. All the way up. There you go. Online, GEAUXchevrolet.com. Remember, JordyCulottaShow.com. You can get in touch with us there, and our bracket challenge is up and moving. We appreciate everybody for getting involved over there. Last time we checked, right around 150 have gotten into the action, presented by Just Winging It. Remember, we'll be handing away some cool gear, some gift cards from Just Winging It for our first, second, and third place winners. We're also handing away a brand new car for a perfect bracket. Go Chevrolet has the rules and regulations up. Make sure that you see those. Only one entry. Got to be from Louisiana. Tax, title, and license on the vehicle, but you get a perfect bracket. You got a brand new Chevrolet Spark coming your way from our friends over at Go Chevrolet. GEAUXchevrolet.com. Coming up this morning, we're going to talk some LSU baseball. Tigers are back on the diamond. Paul Mainieri, LSU head baseball coach, will be here in an hour and a half as he'll stop by at 8:30 this morning. 8:15, our boy Mintzy is doing some cool things up in New York City with Barstool, and they are recognizing Drew Brees and the city of New Orleans in their latest project. Mintzy's going to stop by here at 8:15 and tell us what they got going on. As always, Frank Wilson will stop by at 8 o'clock. We'll talk to the McNeese head football coaches. The Cowboys, a tough one over the weekend as they fell in overtime to Lamar, as a couple of field goals and extra points didn't go the Cowboys' way, and they were knocked off in overtime on Saturday. So we will talk to Frank Wilson coming up at 8 a.m. this morning. Then at 7:30, Hunt Palmer will be inside of the Undisclosed Location. We're looking forward to catching up with Hunt. We'll talk to Hunt about LSU basketball as that they are in the second day of quarantine up in Indianapolis for March Madness, as LSU, as you know, will tip off their opening round versus St. Bonaventure's on Saturday. That's going to be a that'll be a 12:15 start coming up on Saturday, where LSU 12:45, where LSU and the Bonnies will tip it off, an 8-9 matchup in the East region up in Bloomington. That'll be coming to you from Indiana's campus on Saturday. So we will talk to Hunt about the matchup between the Bonnies and the Tigers and get his point of view there, as Hunt will be inside of the Undisclosed Location at 7:30 this morning. If you have a question for the show, ask the Jordy Culotta Show. Just use the hashtag inside of the YouTube Bunker chat app there. Jump inside with us as we will answer your questions at some point before we get out of here at 9 a.m. this morning. There was so much news that happened over the weekend. We got to a lot of it yesterday, and really enjoyed our conversation with Brandon Landry, who is the president and CEO, founding president of Walk-Ons, as he was here yesterday for about 15 minutes, sharing stories of working alongside Drew Brees, being a business partner of Drew Brees, watching Brees play the last 7 seasons, with the friendship and relationship that they have shared, both in business and kind of away from the negotiating table. And very cool insight. Mike Triplett stopped by, and some news started to pop yesterday as Triplett was here yesterday morning kind of explaining what the Saints were doing as far as future deals go. And the Saints are still going to have to find some salary cap and move the number before the league year starts tomorrow. I mean, the NFL calendar starts on Wednesday. NFL free agency has really started to pick up, and you've seen deals starting to happen, like former Saint Trey Hendrickson, who was a standout last season, ink a deal with Cincinnati, including $32 million over the first 2 years on a 4-year, $60 million deal that was first reported by ESPN. Hendrickson was tied for second in sacks last season with 13.5, and in a breakout season last year for New Orleans. So he's on the move. He's going to up to Cincinnati to play with the Bengals and Burrow. This out of New Orleans yesterday, just a little over 24 hours after Brees announced his retirement. The Saints have agreed to terms with quarterback Jameis Winston. And now, just one day after Breeze is on the move, the Saints reached an agreement on a one-year deal worth $12 million, according to ESPN. Winston, who's a former Heisman Trophy winner, spent 5 seasons as a starter at Tampa Bay. Last season was the backup behind Breeze and Taysom Hill. So we're starting to see some NFL news start to move. Some former LSU Tigers yesterday were in the mix. Devon Gottschall and Jalen Mills both agreed to terms with the New England Patriots. So both those guys will be playing in Belichick's defense.
Reuniting.
Yeah.
Play together a little bit at LSU.
Both those guys as nice deals for Gottschall, as he was picked up $16 million. That included a $9 million guarantee on a 2-year deal. And Jalen Mills got a 4-year deal worth $24 million with New England. So starting to see some news and some NFL news start to move around on Monday, and you'll see more of that coming before the league season starts tomorrow. And look, the New Orleans Saints still have work to do, as we said, with the salary cap being $10 million there. But as we said, there was so much news that happened over the weekend, and we got some perspective from Brandon Landry talking about Drew Brees. We had Mike Triplett on talking about the future of the New Orleans Saints. We were able to talk some LSU basketball with John Brady and really enjoyed our conversation with Coach Brady talking about the SEC tournament final with Alabama and what to expect with St. Bonaventure's and LSU in the opening round. And Hunt will be here in a little bit as we talk about that matchup as well. LSU baseball with a crazy series over the weekend. We'll talk to Hunt and Paul Mainieri coming up. But LSU spring football is also starting. It started yesterday as they wrapped up football school in the fourth quarter program, and they'll get on the field today. And we were able to talk to Derek Stingley Sr., just like we do every Monday, about some of the storylines that are happening there. But before Hunt got here, I wanted to talk a little LSU football and some of the stories about what's going on. Maybe going into spring as some of the new faces that we've been introduced to, both from a coaching staff standpoint and some of the guys that are coming in from an early enrollee standpoint on how they can make an impact and just how much of an advantage these spring days can be for new coaches and new players and breaking in new systems and implementing new packages and programs into a college football system. Definitely can use these 15 practices in a spring game to improve. So we'll talk a little bit about that on how that can happen coming up here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Remember, every single day here on the Jordy Culotta Show, we are brought to you by Elevate Treatment Center here in Baton Rouge. And we remind you that Elevate Treatment Center is a drug and alcohol rehabilitation center right here in Baton Rouge, located off of Jefferson Highway, where their goal is to guide you in the steps towards recovery and help you achieve and maintain sobriety. They are online at elevatetreatment.com. That's ELEV, the number 8, treatment.com. So ELEV 8 treatment.com. Elevatetreatment.com is where you can find them online, or you can dial them up today, 225-448-0440. If you want to get in touch, that's 225 area code 448-0440. Log online where you can learn more about the program, more about the services, and they will explain to you why you should choose Elevate Treatment and Legacy Center, located right here in Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway. Learn more online at elevatetreatment.com. So the offense for LSU is going through somewhat of an overhaul, but really kind of a renewal back to where they were in 2019. You don't have Joe Burrow, so the efficiency obviously is not going to be there. But you bring in DJ Mangus and Jake Peets to get back to the spread and the RPO identity that they want to have. That LSU, Ed Ogeron, wants to be able to sell out on the recruiting trail, wants to be able to execute in the meeting rooms, on the practice fields, and take it over to Saturdays as they have struggled, LSU over the last 10 years to really find out who they are offensively. And I think getting to Peets and Mangus first and foremost will create an identity of who LSU can be. They're both young. They're both very well compensated, so hopefully this is a move that can stick for a couple of seasons, and you can really develop guys, develop players, and sell on the recruiting trail the stability of the offensive staff on that side of the ball. Because I think that's big right now in college football, especially when you look at the lineage of quarterbacks that is lined up to play on the roster right now and into the future of LSU football, notably Walker Howard and that class of 2022 that is headlined by Arch Manning down in New Orleans and Eli Holstein right here in Baton Rouge, who's calling the signals for David Brewerton and Zachary. There has to be stability at the offensive coordinator or the play calling position to make sure that those guys, whether it's Walker Howard's commitment or the future recruitment of Manning or Holstein, whichever direction they decide to go in the future at that position, to be able to sell. And I think that Peets and Mangus were home run hires, really and truly. I had a chance last night to meet Jake Peets for the first time. And he and I were in a small group that were talking just some football. Very impressive, first and foremost. I mean, Peets is he's very much a football junkie, right? I mean, the guy loves to just talk ball. And last night for about 2 hours, he was just talking ball, and hearing him talking personnel and hearing him talking packages and identity and who they want to be in quarterbacks, it was very refreshing. I think that they are going to get back to running the football, not in the Les Miles sense of running the football with creative runs, but with the offensive line really being a strong point of this 2021 unit. I think that they are going to build a lot of their identity around that. And when you look at this offensive line, you got all types of experience now coming back. When we talked about this unit last season, that was the big issue, right? I mean, where are the starts? Yeah, Dare Rosenthal looked the part last year, but he hadn't played enough to really trust. You didn't have a center in Liam Shanahan. You didn't know. I mean, you didn't know who he was. The previous 4 years at Harvard, he was an all-Ivy League tackle. And while the competition was stepping up, he was also going into a position that he had never played in a very pressurized position. I mean, the center position on every football team is as important as any position that you'll find just shy of quarterback. And you could make an argument for it, that it's as important. Obviously, Austin Deculus, Chasen Hines, and Ed Ingram have played a lot of football. But now all those guys come back. All of them. Rosenthal's back. Ingram's back. Shanahan's back. Hines is back. Deculus is back. So many starts, so many games, so many reps. SEC road venues, big-time games, under the lights, on national television, everything. Everything that goes into the experience. The playmakers behind it, but I think that being the strong suit of this offense, you create your identity there, establishing the ability to run the football. And then when you look at the depth on the offensive line, big opportunity for Garrett Dellinger. In right now as an early enrollee, one of the tackles, one of the only offensive lineman that they were able to get in the early signing period. And he comes in with a head start on the rest of the crew that'll be coming in the fall. But, a head start in trying to learn what Peets, Mangus, and what these guys want to do from just an everyday conceptual standpoint. Lingo, language, terminology, everything that goes into learning new offenses, that'll start happening for a guy like Garrett Dellinger on the offensive line. You would think that this is an enormous spring for Cardell Thomas, right? I mean, like, this is a make or break spring for Thomas.
And he was so highly sought after.
Huge recruit.
Yeah, and he was a recruit that was recruiting for us. He came in all LSU, has the injury, and he's kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit.
Huge recruit for LSU, right out of Baton Rouge, out of Southern Lab, and as you said, I mean, was really kind of a cheerleader for the recruiting class and for the offensive line. Can he find a spot? Can he find his way to the field finally? I mean, he's been banged up. He had to battle some injuries in in an ankle injury a couple of off seasons ago, but you would think that would be right, and that it would be time now for him to step forward and play. And there's a lot of people that are curious about where is Cardell Thomas and where has he been? Why is he not more of an option? Why is he not more of a player on the offensive line up to this point? And it's a good question. It really is. I mean, how does he not fit in, or where does he fit in? You would think that he would find his spot or begin to find his spot this spring, going into the drills that start today. The name that I'm watching on the offensive line the most to make a surge here, whether it be in spring or going into fall camp, is Xavier Hill. Hill was in last year's recruiting class, didn't play a lot, but when you heard Ogeron and James Craig speak about him, it was always about his versatility. If you remember, he was a backup at tackle, guard. They even mentioned him possibly playing center at times. So very versatile, but very aggressive, very mean, and I believe has a chance to make some noise. Maybe not getting to the starting rotation, but at least play a lot of quality football, a lot of quality snaps for LSU early on as a youngster. Marcus Dumerville was a 5-star recruit, 4 or 5-star recruit, no matter the service that you looked at out of Florida. Everybody was after him. He didn't play at all last season, or didn't play a lot. He'll have a great opportunity this year to make some push as far as the competition goes. I mean, you think Rosenthal and Deculus are pretty stable there at the tackle positions. But Dumerville, you would believe, would be first man up if one of those guys got hurt alongside Cameron Wire. I mean, remember how Cameron Wire played last season in stretches where he had to go. Rosenthal, obviously, with the suspension and not being able to go for a couple of weeks, Wire was shoved in there and forced to play, and he really responded in the opportunities that he got. So that offensive line, to me, is a very refreshing spot for LSU going into the spring drills today.
Is this something you found out yesterday?
No, I mean, just hearing it.
It's something where they kind of gushing about.
Reiterated.
Yeah. Okay.
I think from a coaching standpoint, you always want to, you always feel more secure in where your experience and where your veterans are. And a lot of those guys are on that unit, and their task and responsibility is going to be protecting Max Johnson, who's a who's a sophomore,
or Miles Brennan,
or TJ Finley, who's a sophomore, or Miles Brennan, the veteran. If they're going to commit to the run game, there's going to be a lot of youngsters in that backfield that they're going to be counting on. Some fresh faces that they're going to be counting on to make plays. But if they can do that around an offensive line that has a lot of veteran and a lot of experience, they believe in that. So I think that the offensive line is going to be the identity of this offense of Jake Peets and DJ Mangas coming in, and they're going to throw the football. Don't get it wrong. They're going to throw the football, but they're going to also get back to having a run game that is very well respected, and something that you're going to have to plan for. Or if you try to take away a passing game, they'll be able to beat you with the run game. I asked for one name last night from Peets on who has been impressive for him, and the first name he said was Trey Palmer.
Finally figured it out.
Yeah, and I think that Palmer has an opportunity to really be a game breaker, to really be a big-time playmaker for LSU. I mean, Butte is there. They love Butte, obviously. The final game of the season says everything about Butte and the numbers and what he was doing. But, you got ancillary parts like Trey Palmer, who you don't talk about a lot. And Palmer came in with such high accolades. And I know Hunt is very high on Trey Palmer. And we'll ask him maybe a name that he's watching for here this spring. But, there's so many skill players when you start just kind of rattling these guys off and going down the list of the options that they have, going into spring. Forget what's coming in the fall. A guy like Jack Besh, who we spoke to yesterday, or a guy like Brian Thomas and Chris Hilton, who both are going to be here at the wide receiver spot. But, Keyshawn Butte, Jeray Jenkins, Trey Palmer, Deion Smith, who's a freshman, player of the year in Mississippi. He's been a little banged up, and he may not be able to experience the entire spring workouts. But, he's on campus. He's going through the workout programs. He's going through the off-season programs. And he's, training alongside guys like John Trey Kirkland and some of those older guys, Jeray Jenkins, like we talked about. So the offense, obviously, I think is going to have a lot of excitement around it because Peets is in town, DJ Mangus is in town, and the quarterback position is so healthy. The competition is going to be fantastic to watch over the next 3.5 weeks to a month, just to watch how this thing unfolds, because I do believe you'll have some shakeup at the end of spring practice. I think that you'll see some people make some decisions because it will begin to figure itself out. The competition is going to work itself out into a place where one guy is going to start to move forward, and the pecking order will start to be figured out. And all these guys can play. All these guys can play at a Division I level. All these guys can play at an SEC level. So if there's an odd man out, if there's a writing on the wall for one player that says, man, I'm not going to get my shot, I expect movement. And I expect there to be somebody that says, hey, I got to go get my reps. I got to go find a place that I can play. And, right now as I sit here and going into spring, I would say I would put my money on Max Johnson being the starter. That's who I'm betting on next fall. I think he's the best option. I think Brennan is going to be really, really stiff competition, and I think Finley's going to add some intrigue into it just for the type of player that he is. He's got this skill set that it's very enticing. It's very attractive when you look at him. He's got this big, strong arm where he flicks his wrist and he can just kind of 60 yards down the field later. He can put it on the money. But I think down in, down out, game in, game out, Johnson's the guy.
Game one?
Possibly.
That's the litmus test, because UCLA is the first game. It's not like we do the LSU thing where we don't play a powder puff the first game. We go on national television. We go to a venue that people want to see us. So it's usually a stalwart opponent the first game.
We're going to put out a vibes bracket at some point over here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We're going to do that through social media, and Stanton Dupois has a good idea. We should put it up on the poll right now on Twitter on going into spring. Who's your starting quarterback? Is it Miles Brennan, the veteran, the senior, who comes back with a lot of experience, or not a lot of game experience, but a lot of program experience, and also experience in this offense to a certain degree? It's not Mangus and Brady's exact formula that they had moving 2 years ago, because it's different personnel. But for the most part, it's pretty much mirrored on what they were doing. And Miles Brennan has some recognition of that. Now, Finley and Johnson came in bowl preparation during that season and saw a short window of Burrow and Brady working together within this offense, but not enough to make a real impact. So Miles Brennan, TJ Finley, who was the first off the bench last season when Miles Brennan went down, or Max Johnson, who closed out the season for LSU. Like I said, my vote's on Johnson. I think that he's the guy that gives you the best option, down in, down out, just to win the football game. And from how the game is played in 2021, where your quarterback has to be a threat both in the air and on the ground, I think he's the one that gives you the best option, or at least the biggest threat, that if it does have to make a play, if the quarterback has to make a play, or if they run pass option and defense dictates that quarterback needs to run, well, it doesn't look as clunky as it did last season with other players in there, that it just doesn't fit their skill set. Johnson looks very natural trying to run that, and that's what LSU wants to be. That's who they are trying to be. Brenton Burkhalter, pressure situations, Johnson's just different than the other ones. He's got confidence about him that the others don't share. You can talk about his pedigree, too. I mean, he's a coach's son. He's a quarterback's son. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback's son. I mean, you know, we put a lot of stock into Joe Burrow being Jimmy's son because of what Jimmy exposed Joe to being a football coach. That meant a lot. And when you heard coaches break down Burrow, they would go back to some of those Sundays in the film room at home with his dad just talking football and how he just learned it and knew it better than everybody. The poll's up at Culotta Show on Twitter. Vote there. We'll touch back to it and throughout the show and give you some of the results and how it's trending. Also, don't forget online, JordyCulottaShow.com to get your bracket inserted for March Madness, brought to you by Just Winging It. Over at Just Winging It, they're helping us out with our bracket challenge that is up at JordyCulottaShow.com. You can be entered to win today. If you fill out a perfect bracket, our friends at Go Chevrolet will get you a new car, a brand new car. Now, there's rules and regulations of that you can read at JordyCulottaShow.com before you enter. And so make sure you know what's going on. But a great opportunity from Go Chevrolet, Just Winging It, and the Jordy Culotta Show as far as this March Madness bracket. So if you have not entered, make sure that you make sure that happens this morning before we get hunting here. And we'll talk to Hunt a little bit about some of these football storylines going into spring. Because it feels like they're all over the place, whether it's new faces, new coaches, how they fit in, what's going to be, what's going to be some of the stories that he's watching going into the next couple of weeks and 15 practices for LSU. And obviously we'll touch on LSU basketball, who is in the second day of quarantine up in Indiana before they can get on the practice field tomorrow and start getting prepared for St. Bonaventure's on Saturday. That'll be a 12:45 tip-off on TNT. And there are storylines all over the place between that 8-9 matchup. And Hunt will be in here, who hosts a LSU basketball podcast. And we will ask him some questions on what he thinks. And obviously we'll pick his brain on baseball, as LSU baseball had a crazy week last week, is where they won all 5 games. 2 of them came in walk-off fashion as Jordan Thompson and Cade Doty and Hayden Travinsky played hero last week for LSU baseball. But we'll get Hunt's overall thoughts. As Hunt said last week on this show that he believed Landon Marceau was the ace pitcher on the LSU staff. And Marceau this weekend, I will say, looked very dominant from his standpoint and has been very consistent. Remember, daily here, we're brought to you by Angel Oak Home Loans. Angel Oak Home Loans that you can find more about online. But if you are looking to refinance your house, if you're looking to purchase a second property, if you're looking to purchase a condominium, if you're self-employed and looking to make those purchases, let the team over at Angel Oak Home Loans help you today. I'm over there working with a great team, and I can get you in touch with a team of veterans and very well-experienced mortgage lenders that can help you get into your dream home, refinance today, or buy that second home that you may be looking for. AngelOakHomeLoans.com is where you can find them online, or you can just email me directly, and I will put you in touch with a team member. Just for ease, you can just email me on my Jordy Culotta Show email, jordy@jordyculottashow.com. Hey, I was thinking of refinancing. Hey, I'm trying to get into a condominium. Hey, I'm trying to get into a second home, and I need some help with the mortgage or getting the funds secured. Let us help you over at Angel Oak Home Loans today. Get in touch with us. Just send me an email, jordy@jordyculottashow.com. When we come back, we'll talk to Hunt Palmer, start to explore all those storylines as we will preview LSU baseball and Southeastern tonight. We'll start to talk LSU basketball in the tournament. We'll ask Hunt his thoughts on the seeding, where LSU is the 8th seed, and his initial reaction when he saw the number being etched next to the Tigers' name on Selection Sunday, and these spring storylines for Hunt. Where do they exist? What's he watching over the next couple of weeks for LSU football? We'll be right back here on the Jordy Culotta Show, brought to you every day by Go Chevrolet. Hey, you know it's no secret what we got going over here at the Jordy Culotta Show. We're trying to disrupt how media and advertising moves forward. My friend of over 35 years, Barrett Blondo, is doing the same thing for real estate with his new company, Falaya. I met with him in his own personal undisclosed location, and I got to see firsthand what Falaya has been doing and what he's been working on. It blew my mind, man. They are putting all the tools once reserved for professionals right in the hands of the homeowner. It's basically for sale by owner on steroids. For more information, give my guy Barrett Blondo a call today at 225-939-6153 or visit him at Falaya. That's FALAYA.com for more info. Barrett Blondo over at Falaya.com. Changing the game in real estate. Every time we talk to LSU head basketball coach Will Wade here on the Jordy Culotta Show, it's brought to you by Phil's Oyster Bar. Some exciting new things coming up at Phil's here during the Lenten season, including featuring new seafood specials every Friday, in addition to the seafood-filled menu over there. And they're offering up brunch right now on Saturday and Sundays, which will have bottomless mimosas. Don't forget Monday night 50-cent oysters and $2 draft beers, all over at Phil's Oyster Bar. Check them out. They're online at philsoysterbar.com, but they're located in the South Downs Shopping Center, a staple here in Baton Rouge for a long time. Go tell Anthony Piazza and the crew hello. Phil's Oyster Bar. Hey, if you're in the market for a custom home, get in touch with our friend Rhett Bourgeois over at RMB Builders. They're online at RMB-Builders, and Rhett can do just about anything you need around the house. He can build you a new one. He can repair the one you're in. He can remodel. If you need commercial construction help, he's licensed for commercial as well. He can handle an office renovation, building maintenance. Check out everything. It's online at rmb-builders.com. He's on social media, Instagram and Facebook. You can find him at the handle at RMB Builders LLC. But the website is fantastic. Check him out, rmb-builders.com. Shout out to our girl, Whitney Bro, and the Gridiron Show as their second episode launched yesterday with Megan Making Money. Fantastic conversation with FanDuel's own Megan Making Money. Remember, every Monday, you can check out the Gridiron Show, hosted by Whitney Bro and our girl, Abby Alonzo, her great intern over there. Online, you can hit them on their YouTube site or hit them on Facebook and social media. But every Monday, they're coming at you. The Gridiron Show, hosted by Whitney Bro and crew. Who we got coming up next there, dude? What's the next conversation?
They're gonna figure it out. They've got a couple interviews that they want to choose from. They're all good stuff, man.
She's been doing a great job, man.
She's unreal on not only on the show, but like working guests and getting people. Like, she's a mover and shaker, man. Rock star.
Yeah, she's got a lot of great conversations already recorded to bring to you over at the Gridiron Show. All right, Hunt Palmer's with us in studio. He's a Tuesday regular here with us on the Jordy Culotta Show. We always enjoy the conversation with Hunt, and always have, because his versatility. Speaking of versatility, we were talking a little bit about LSU football going into we're talking about the last break, because so much news popped over the weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about Breeze, we talked about LSU basketball, we talked about LSU baseball in the crazy series, in the way that they had to get it. But, LSU football, spring football practice, they get on the field today, and we were just talking.
I didn't even know that.
Is that nuts?
It's all happening at once,
Spring football starts, today. It really, the calendar said it started yesterday, but they wrapped up fourth quarter and wrapped up football school, and now going to be on the field. And we're just talking a couple of stories. We talked a little offense, and we're talking some of the versatility. And Trey Palmer seems to be a name that Jake Peets likes.
Cousin Trey. Yeah. Speed runs in the family.
Yeah, absolutely. Was he a second cousin of yours, huh?
Yeah, once removed.
You got any names? You got anybody here in spring? There's new coaches. There's new faces. There's storylines everywhere. What Give me something before we jump into basketball and baseball.
Well, I think it's so easy to default to it, but the quarterback position is. But I don't expect to have a resolution in spring. I mean, I don't think that's the case. It's possible because I've been pretty transparent. It's possible that he'd come out and say, "Yeah, Miles is the guy," or "Yeah, we think Max is the leader right now." But I don't anticipate that. There's no really reason to do that. But that's probably where I would start. I think the most important storyline of the whole deal is that this year with 2 new coordinators, just like last year, but they're not doing things on Zoom. They can actually go practice.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think that the problems with the defense all stemmed from the fact that they couldn't really have a spring practice for 3 weeks and they couldn't. They had to do things via Zoom. There were far deeper issues than that, but it certainly helps to be able to practice.
Who makes a bigger impact, especially earlier, Durante Jones or Jake Peets?
I think the more noticeable one's probably Durante Jones because I think that the brain trust they've put together mirrors what they've wanted to do the last 2 years because of everyone having worked together with Mangus having been here and Ensminger still in the back there working and then Pete's having worked with Brady. I think there's just a lot of commonality there, so I think that it looks pretty similar. And the offense hummed pretty decent for the most part of last year. The defense is so bad that I think you've got to see some change there.
If you were answering our poll question this morning, who would you go with? We're asking for a starter and
I already
just a
did.
quarterback.
I voted just out there a little earlier. I would go with Max. That's my gut.
Yeah.
I would not be disappointed as a fan in the least if they said Miles Brennan was the quarterback. I think he did a great job last year. But if you make me pick one, I would pick Max.
All right, Hunt Palmer's here with us. He's all over the place. He also hosts a daily podcast where he talks about LSU basketball, Hoops with Hunt. That you can get over at 1045ESPN.com. What did you make of the week? Let's start with the seeding. What did you make of the 8 seed?
I just screwed it up. I mean, there is no.
Did you expect?
No, shocked.
You were
absolutely shocked.
Okay.
I thought that they were clearly a 7, potentially a 6. And when you look at, because they're an 8, if you look at all the 7s, LSU's net's better than all the 7s. LSU has more quad 1 wins than any of the 6 seeds.
Mm-hmm. And their net rating is better than.
Well, not in the 6s, but they have
but
more
all
quad
of the
1 wins.
7s.
But all the 7s is better. Florida, LSU's net's 3 points better. They're tied in quad 1 wins. Florida has a quad 3 loss. That one makes absolutely no sense. It's just they just didn't do a good job. I mean, the Clemson's net is in the 40s, and they were 3-6 against quad 1. LSU has 5 quad 1 wins. Just no explanation. The only metric that Clemson trumps LSU in is quad 2 wins. Mm-hmm. That's what we want to go to.
Right.
It's just I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there's a conspiracy theory and that no one likes Will Wade and he's going to be underseeded every year he's at LSU. I'm not going to go that far. I think that's just a little ridiculous to think that they sat in the room and decided to punish the coach who was on a wiretap. I don't think that's the case. I do think they did a terrible job.
They didn't get a call all week at the SEC tournament.
It was consistently physical. Every game was a street fight.
Yeah. What'd you make of their play over the last 2 weeks?
It's very good. That is better than them playing bad, obviously, but it doesn't mean anything for Saturday. I mean, we've seen the ebbs and flows of this team. That they give one away against Texas Tech, then get dusted by Alabama, have a terrible week, and then you come back the next week and you play great and beat Mississippi State on the road, and you thump Tennessee at home, and then you come back and you lose to Georgia. It's been a roller coaster. There are some things that I saw that were really encouraging. I mean, Cam shooting it at 40% from 3 for the tournament is very encouraging. Watford was great, and at times he has not been great, but he was certainly really, really good. Got some good minutes from Gaines in some games. They looked good. The death of them is going to be rebounding. They don't defensive rebound worth a flip, and that's going to end up being what knocks them out. But they're playing pretty good right now. I
think the last time he was here, we asked him about his difference in rebounding, and he says he tells his team all the time that I'm already telling you what my post-game speech is going to be to you after the last game we play. We're going to get out-rebounded. It's going to be the rebounding that's going to cost them their life because now it's on the line every game.
Alabama rebounded 44% of their misses. I mean, that's almost half the time they miss a shot, they got the rebound. LSU's defense, he's been saying it, and it's hard to back it up, saying that the half-court defense is not that bad. But really, when you look at it, if LSU rebounds and holds Alabama to a 18 rate, they're not going to score that many points. But they, had 16 second chance points because they keep getting on the glass.
Why do you think the correlation of Day's double point figure scoring and their success rate in the win-loss column is? I mean, they almost got out of there on Saturday. They just got beat by 1, and they had a look at under 2 seconds at it. But what do you make of that?
Probably because he's got the greatest variance. He's very capable of going for 18 and very capable of going for 3. Gets in foul trouble sometimes. Taking him off the floor hurts you bad. Mm-hmm. I mean, Cam's just going to score 24. Like, that's going to happen. Watford's usually going to score 20. Javante's going to make 4 threes. Like, most of those things happen just about every night. Days, it can happen one night and not the next for whatever reason, whether it's him going 0 for 8 from 3 like he did against Bama the second time, or whether it's him getting in foul trouble because he's not out there. Or it's just there's a little bit more variance there.
What do you make of the draw?
Well, I started looking into St. Bonaventure last night, not as deeply as I will over the next couple of days. I watched a little bit of highlights and took a big snapshot overall. The biggest thing is the contrasting style. St. Bonaventure plays somewhere in the neighborhood of 67 possessions a game, and LSU wants to play like 74. It's a big number. If you look, LSU's in the top 60 in pace, and St. Bonaventure's like 200 something. So it's St. Bonaventure wants to play very slow. And they're only going to play 6 guys, maybe 7 guys. But they're all juniors, and they shoot it pretty good from the outside, and they've got a 6'10" active post. But he's going to have to go out there with Days. And that's where you see that pick-and-pop game start working. It may be to LSU's advantage there because the rest of the guys on the floor for St. Bonaventure are 6'4", and then they got a 6'10", big. So St. Bonaventure's good. I mean, they absolutely worked St. Louis last week, and I was very impressed with St. Louis when LSU played them back in December. And this is a team that's playing very well, and they won't be scared. It's a bunch of juniors they expect to be there. So, I think LSU,
tough league Schmidt comes out of, man.
He's a good coach.
He is a good coach.
And then Michigan, if you're going to be an 8, this is probably the one you want. Livers is not going to play. He's got a stress fracture in his foot. He's one of their best players. They're coming off a loss. Yeah, they're better than LSU, but if you can get there, I mean, everybody's going to talk about Michigan around here because that's what everybody sees. That's the big target. But you got to get by. Got to get by St. Bonaventure first. She's pretty good.
Absolutely. What is the key ingredient for LSU in March? In your, I mean, is it just the big 3 having to have huge games every game?
Well, they're going to do that, but it's rebounding. It's not. I mean, I could try to. I could say anything here. They got to. They got Days got to hit threes, or Watford can't turn it over. Right? They got to rebound. Like, that's it. If you allow better than 44% of the other team's misses to be rebounded, you're not going to get enough stops. As good as you are on offense, you're not going to get enough stops. So that's it.
What have you made of Michael Cobble's questions to Will Wade?
Don't have any real guards. Come on, Cobble.
It was. He's the only person that could have got away with that. He's the only person.
Apparently, I didn't see this, but apparently in the Zoom conference yesterday or whenever, he was on his lawnmower. Cobble.
He's just playing it up now.
My word.
LSU baseball won all 5 games last week. Do you believe that?
Apparently. I mean, not great bullpen, big-time clutch hitting with the homers. I still cling to the fact that their non-conference schedule was real weak this year, and we'll see. They may prove me wrong this week, and they may come out there and against this staff at Mississippi State that's awesome and hit some home runs and win 2 of 3. But I'm going to need to see it.
Yeah. What is the most concerning thing that you have seen?
The most concerning thing, Fontenot's got to be crisper. I mean, he had 2 nice outings in the midweek last week, but he's got to be locked down at the end, and he can be. I mean, when you see a guy throwing a 96-mile-an-hour running fastball in the inside corner to get strike 3 on a Tuesday, whoa! But he's got to throw strikes. And then outside of that, some defensive stuff that's giving me concern, but I think DiGiacomo helps with that a little bit, and the guys on the left side are, getting better. So the bats, I'm going to have to see him do it against these SEC teams. That's because everybody's, Gorilla Ball's back, they're leading the nation in homers, And I'd rather than be doing that than not be leading the nation in homers. But this the SEC, some of the arms coming in here this weekend. Christian McLeod, you're going to see on Friday night for Mississippi State. He's a 6'4" lefty who strikes out 2 an inning. The most ridiculous stat line I have seen in years is coming out of the Mississippi State bullpen this year. And I'm blanking on his name. It's Landon Sims. He's gotten 35 outs this year.
Wow.
He has 30 strikeouts. I've never heard of anything like that. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you're going to see probably Friday night. It'll probably go McLeod to Sims. Okay, Gorilla Ball boys that are hitting 11 home runs in a week. What you got? And look, you don't have to hit a bunch of them. You need to hit 2 with a couple guys on base, and you'll be in really good shape. But I need to see that against this type of pitching. Alabama's got a guy who might be the first pick in the draft. Vanderbilt's got 2 guys who are just unbelievable. I think Jack Leiter's the best pitcher in the league. I mean, it's not going to stop anytime soon. You see him every week now. So we'll see.
You mentioned last week during your hit here that you thought that Marceau was the ace of the staff. He performed like that over the weekend. Do you anticipate any shakeup, and what do you make of these 3 guys on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday slot?
It was good to see Jaden throw strikes and miss some bats and throw the ball well on Friday, but Marceau came back and was great, obviously, on Saturday. Yeah, I think he's the best pitcher on the staff. I think that slider he's developed is just better than it was when he got to campus. The fastball's good enough, 91, 92. Mixing in a changeup every once in a while. I don't necessarily need to shake up the order. Hill's fine on Friday, and if your best pitcher pitches on Saturday against somebody's number 2, I'm fine with that. I'm fine. You want to put Marceau on Sunday. I care what order you throw him in the regional. On an SEC weekend, I mean, I'd prefer go 1, 2, 3, but I've seen it done a different way. So,
do you have what do you like as the rotation up to this point, as far as like the starters, the middle relief guys, the closers, because they're struggling to find those guys to close games?
Yeah.
How do they get there?
Beck coming out where you thought he'd be kind of a bridge guy to Fontenot is hurt a little bit, and then Hilliard has had some real struggles, and you figured you could lean on him in that breaking ball to get you out of some jams, and he's kind of been iffy. So right now I think the freshmen are stepping up. I mean, Ty Floyd's been great. I mean, that fastball's got a ton of life to it. It's up to 94 miles an hour at times, and I think the breaking ball is good. I think he's a real factor. I know that Javen Coleman wasn't great in the last time out, but I do trust that his stuff is good enough to get outs in the SEC, especially from the left side. So I want to keep trotting him back out there. Probably going to have to deal with guys like Edwards and Floyd, those freshmen, instead of the veteran guys that you thought were going to be the key bullpen guys.
What do you make of the guys going tonight? Will Helmers.
He's been really good. Another one, just big, strong kid who throws it downhill. Is it as good as Jaden Hill or Marceau stuff? Not yet, but I think that he's a good option. This is a team that I wouldn't mind developing a 4th starter, because I think it's more likely than not, if you're going to win a regional, you may lose a game or have to battle in the SEC tournament to try to win some extra games to try to get to seeding. Or if you get to Omaha and have to get out in the loser bracket somewhere, I mean, to me, this team doesn't seem like a dominant team that's going to cruise through the postseason. So having a 4th starter might help you. The other side of that coin is, if you're trying to win games on the weekend and you think Helmers can help you there, he can't go 7 innings on Tuesday. I mean, you probably have to throw him more like 3 and have him ready to go Saturday. So you got to think about a lot of different variables, but Helmers, I think, can help.
What did you make of the week that Cade Doty had?
Cade Doty is legit. And I said before the season that if LSU was going to be good this year, he was going to have to be an all-conference player. And right now he's playing like an all-conference player. And missing some games and still having, 7 home runs. Yeah, that I don't question Doty. I don't question Cruz. I don't question Beloso.
What about Thompson?
I need to see that against SEC arms. When the 87, 88 mile an hour fastball turns into 94, I need to see that. Now it's possible.
Yeah,
but I need to see that. And I think I trust Trey Morgan. I mean, I don't have any reason not to. But again, we're about to see a different level, and we'll have to see. I mean, the swing is short. He has no problem going to the opposite field, so it looks like it'll translate.
Yeah, his approach translates to SEC baseball.
Why couldn't Mo Hampton play baseball at college or at LSU? I mean, after being a first-round pick, I had more expectation for him on the baseball field than I did for him at football. And looking back on his 2 years, I thought he made a bigger impact on the football field, and that was very minimal.
He did. I mean, there's no doubt. But it's just hitting a baseball is really hard. And when you miss your entire freshman fall, and then you're so late out there in the spring and can't get at bats, and then the world shuts down and you can't face live pitching. He hadn't played baseball legitimately in 2 years. I mean, and so to try to get on the field against guys that do it every single day is difficult. And when he did, he didn't make a huge impact. So it's just, I don't know that he couldn't do it, but he never got the opportunity because football took away from it.
Sock game is strong today, bro.
Appreciate that.
Are you back face-to-face working with people? Is that happening in your world?
Most people will do it. Some won't, and you get into some people who are a little bit up in age and are trying to get to DocuSigns and all that kind of stuff. Could be a bit of an issue. But we can get it done. The times we have to do a FaceTime and say, hey, you got to sign right there, and you got to
coach them through it.
Can you scan it over? Well, can I take a picture of it? No, I'm going to need you to scan it and email it over. But we're getting there.
The Indiana basketball job has opened up. I've seen names like Chris Beard and Scott Drew and Brad Stevens and John Beeline.
Everyone's talking about, he's the coach of the Celtics. He's not going to coach Indiana.
Does Indiana basketball mean anything anymore? Is that a job that's a draw?
Yeah, yes. It's got some Nebraska football vibes.
Yeah.
But you don't have to recruit as many humans in basketball as you do in football, so you got a better chance. You can win there for sure. And I don't think you can win in Nebraska anymore. But, it's not what it was.
Tell them about the podcast.
Yeah, Hoops with Hunt. We'll be every morning before 10 o'clock. Hungry Howie's bringing you the pod. We'll have probably 15, 18 minutes every day leading up to it. We're kind of dabble in St. Bonaventure today, but more so talk about the LSU bracket and what they did over the weekend. And then Friday we'll have a whole big breakdown of St. Bonaventure. And obviously with the game being Saturday, Monday, we'll have the Monday look if LSU is to advance. And if not, we'll be doing an autopsy on the season. But every morning before 10 o'clock, about 15, 18 minutes of basketball talk.
I just got another text message from Dick Vitale.
Oh, my goodness. Look at him. Is he
going back and saying that, Jordy, your unfair attack on me made me look at the tape of the LSU-Bama game, and OMG, I was so positive about LSU and Wade.
This man.
Is this guy? It's delusional. Hunt, it's great to see you.
All right, this guy,
delusional.
He needs
Is that unreal?
Shrink into the background.
Is that unreal? I mean, like, I just, I want to read this out loud, but Jesus. We'll be back with more Jordy Culotta Show.
You got to digest some of this
Jesus,
information.
Good Lord. Every time we talk to LSU head basketball coach Will Wade here on the Jordy Culotta Show, it's brought to you by Phil's Oyster Bar. Some exciting new things coming up at Phil's here during the Lenten season, including featuring new seafood specials every Friday, in addition to the seafood-filled menu over there. And they're offering up brunch right now on Saturday. Home, get in touch with our friend Rhett Bourgeois over at RMB Builders. They're online at rmb-builders, and Rhett can do just about anything you need around the house. He can build you a new one. He can repair the one you're in. He can remodel. If you need commercial construction help, he's licensed for commercial as well. He can handle an office renovation, building maintenance. Check out everything. It's online at rmb-builders.com. He's on social media, Instagram and Facebook. You can find him at the handle at RMB Builders LLC. But the website is fantastic. Check him out, rmb-builders.com.
YouTube and all podcasting platforms. We sat down with our girl Megan Making Money to talk sports betting 101, March Madness tips, and more about Megan's journey to the top of the sports betting world. Join us every Monday for a new episode of The Gridiron Show and follow us on social media at Gridiron Show for more.
Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show. Hour 2 rolling on, brought to you by Go Chevrolet. Remember, we're about to link up with McNeese head football coach Frank Wilson, as Coach Wilson is here every week. A tough one for the Pokes, as they were back in the city over the weekend and fell in overtime to Lamar. They are back in action on Saturday. They'll be in Natchitoches as they will be taking on Northwestern. A familiar face back on the set, back from Mexico, back from the choppy seas.
I'm
and the,
still
the
rocking, by the way.
Like any seasickness? That was the dream.
Yes,
I mean,
the first day,
puking
7 times, 7 times. And
It's a good diet
I
to
was
go
like
in,
having
though.
a conversation with someone, like sitting there, like chatting, and then all of a sudden I was like, "Excuse me for a minute." And like ran outside. They were like, "Do it over the side. Do it over the side." I was like, "I don't want to
I
do
know to
this.
throw up in the water.
I don't want to do this." But
So
they had
miserable.
bathrooms. I mean, the boat had 4 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms, so there were plenty of options.
Sounds like
places
better than
I could
Jordy's
go.
experience. The man was on the ground.
The
so he's on
boat
the
was
floor.
amazing. I mean, I can't even.
that's the type of fishing I need to be
I
doing.
mean,
it's a lot like my
a
theories
crew-
on games now. I'm only a sweet
So
guy.
bougie, dude.
I'm
Yeah.
only a yacht guy.
Yes.
I'm a yacht guy. I'm
It's not a boat,
sorry.
it's a yacht.
That's
I'm
how
sorry.
I'm going to fish too from now on.
Yes,
If you
I like to throw the baits out in the water and watch them on camera
Yeah.
in the air condition.
Now I did fish, but someone did bait the hook every
Yeah, I
time.
saw
and
you put
do
the you
everything.
put
You
the,
saw me reeling that red.
No, I saw you put the social media post up.
Yeah.
On you reeling it in.
Yeah.
So overall, a good experience.
It was great.
Okay.
I mean, super cool.
Okay.
Like super cool.
Welcome back here.
Thank you. Glad to
As
be back.
she's back, we were reading, and this is on the verge of very unprofessional, but I mean this is amazing. This is amazing. Nick tagged me yesterday in the Dick Vitale. Nick tagged Dick in the Dick Vitale rant that happened here on the Jordy Culotta Show yesterday, and out of nowhere, I get a text message from Vitale calling me unprofessional for the way that I handled the rant yesterday, reacting to him and Carl Ravage putting up a graphic, which to me means that was pre-planned, that you talked about that in a production meeting, how you're going to run a graphic during a championship game that's featuring LSU and Alabama, the 2021 teams, not the team 3 years ago that the graphic is referencing on the allegations that everybody's been talking about that has unsubstantiated evidence that does not exist, right? So Vitale nearly railroads the broadcast on Saturday because he's got to give his opinion on how he feels about Will Wade and his recruiting tactics that still to this day have no evidence. Zero. None. Don't let him tell you any other way. No evidence. So in a championship game on Sunday, he's talking about 3 years worth of allegations that have nothing to show for it, and how future student athletes should really think about whether or not they want to go to LSU. You tell me if that is at the very minimum unprofessional. That's a hack job from Vitale, who has totally lost his way in his relevance on how he feels he fits into college. At one point, he was the face and the voice of college basketball. And for him to be individualizing one school like he does against LSU, and for him not to be able to see how unprofessional that is at that level, what are we even arguing about? What are we even going back and forth about? Yesterday in a text message, probably 3 times he told me, "I'm done responding to you." I simply said, "Okay, thank you, see you." And he would come back with another paragraph. Again this morning from Vitale. After yesterday's, "Have a great day, my man. I hope they keep laughing at me because things are getting better and better than they've ever been in my career. Love it. I try to treat you with respect by answering you on text after your usual hatchet job, but it's a waste of time. Have a good day. You too, Dick. Thank you. This morning, 7:50. Jordy, your unfair attack on me made me look at the tape of LSU Bama game. OMG, I was so positive about LSU and Wade. Even said the guy can flat out coach as he did a great job at VCU as well. Praised them up and down. Spoke so highly of Thomas, Watford, and Smart. The situation with the NCAA was a 1-minute comment reacting to the posting of the screen of the facts given not by me, but by the NCAA. Our production team felt we should at least have that shown as it does relate to LSU and the status of the Tigers. They asked that I comment, and there was nothing strong at all that came out except their biggest challenge with four letters, the NCAA. That was it. That was it, as we were all about the great game that took place. My buddy Tim Brando said to me last night that I was fair to LSU and Will Wade. Look, if I deserve to be ripped, fine, but to just use my name for sensationalism is totally unfair. Dick, get over yourself. Sad part is you have certain gifts as a broadcaster that can be special, but you have a tendency to try and go overboard that takes you away from your opinions. Just understand you hit a button with me that made me look at the tape. Jordy, wish you the best. Totally unfair to me this morning. On a further note, I do agree that LSU deserved a 5 or a 6 seed. God bless Dick Vitale. Like, I just, let's call Frank Wilson. I mean, let's just.
Is there an older man move than signing off on your own text?
I mean,
His texts look like an old guy texting them.
it's just.
How we doing?
How are you, Coach?
Fantastic. How are you guys?
We're all right, Coach. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. I know I told you I was. Little Jay got picked up on an AAU team, so I spent the Saturday in the gym. I was peeking back and forth at the scoreboard between between McNeese and Lamar, and I felt terrible for your guys because I was watching the play-by-play and just saw how good of a game it was, and that you guys deserved to win it. I know that this is just a building block of what you have going on down in Lake Charles.
It is. You know, we look at that game, and we started fast, man. And in a lot of ways, we played our best of the season. We jump out, and we had been lacking, Jordy, big plays and big play opportunities, and we got them. We had about 9 of them on the day. The first half, the first quarter, we started really fast. First snap of the game, we go 80. Get the ball back, go 50, and back-to-back touchdowns, and you immediately go up. And then they kind of played keep away from us. They held the ball for 22 minutes of the 30 in the first half, and so we didn't have many opportunities. I think we went into halftime with maybe 24 snaps, and that type of offense, that's what they do in triple option, et cetera, methodical in their approach. Came back in the second half, had some opportunities to make a difference in the game, and 13-13 at half, and then came on at the back end. And unfortunately for us, we probably, as much as we played well, rushed for 320-plus yards, played defense outstanding, 5 sacks on the day, 12 tackle for losses on the day. Wow. They rushed for 60-plus plays for an average of 2.93 yards a carry. And so we took away the things they did well. They had some plays when you rush it as many times and went into the trickery bag and did some things. But at the end of the day, from a special team standpoint, it was unusual for us to miss 2 PATs, to miss a field goal, to have a 90-yard kickoff return called back, and yet another penalty. So just didn't do a great job. Our kicker prior to this week, Jordy, was 100%, like 9 for 9, one of the best in the country. And then just had a rough day. Had a rough day there, and it cost us. It came back and haunted us at the back end of the game. Got to be able to make PATs. Go in overtime, we score, and ready to get into a celebratory manner and miss another PAT. Mm-hmm. And those things we're not at a point where we can overcome those things. But made improvement with our football team, probably played another 11 true freshmen. And again, in our own world, in our building, block of building this thing to withstand the test of time will bode well for us in the fall. And I know it sounds cliche-ish. It's not just conversation. It's the truth that when we build this, it will stand the test of time. And I like us. I like our team. I like the future of our team and the direction that we're headed.
Absolutely. To prospective student athletes that are out there listening to this, especially the up-and-coming ones, as Frank Wilson told his staff last week, play them all. Play everybody. Mm-hmm. He wants to see everybody play for the Cowboys to get this program up and moving. When you play a team like Northwestern State, like you face this weekend as you travel up to Natchitoches, 4 o'clock, and I know you put an emphasis on owning the state recruiting, does that put a major emphasis on winning these state games?
Yeah, I think it puts an emphasis on perspective of our intention or to win every game. You know, the difference between us being 3-1 right now and 1-3 is 5 points and 6 yards. And we'd be 3-1. You know, one in overtime. We played one game in double overtime, another game in overtime, another game inside of 2 minutes, and at the 4-yard line, and our best player, you know, put the ball on the carpet. But that's the difference. We're 3-1. If we make one of the 2 PATs or a field goal, we're 3-1. If we're down by 5, we're going in to score inside of 3 minutes with our defense playing lights out, and we score. And so we're very, very close. And as you know, in this game, the margin for victory and loss is minute, and we're close. And so we're getting this team better. We're improving. We're establishing quality depth that we won't be hamstrung. You know, we had A.J. Carter, young man from Manny High School that transferred, was a one-time LSU commit. Transferred here from Arizona State, started fast the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, he took a kickback 70 yards. This week, he breaks a 50-yarder and sprains his big toe, and so he goes down. And so we're playing our 4 and 5 tailback and still rush with the, you know, the patched up offensive line that we have, and we still rush for 320 yards, and that'll pay dividends for us. That'll pay dividends for us in a long way, because we'll have depth to play quality teams and won't be hamstrung by just the first 11. And the gap between the first guy and the second and third will be that much more minute as our team continues to improve and play in the future. And so I would say, to answer your question, I would say to those recruits out there, opportunity awaits you here. Opportunity to be a part of something very special. Because that sooner than later, Jordan, we're going to hoist that trophy. We'll hoist it. We'll be back. The best teams in this conference, the teams who are playing extremely well, and our football team, the gap is not that large at this time for us, besides continuity, chemistry, and playing together.
I am sold and have been sold. I know they got the right guy in Frank Wilson, and if you're listening out there and you want to play football at the next level, you got to give McNeese a look because of just the guy, the leader that you hear from us every Tuesday right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. And you can follow McNeese Football on Twitter at McNeese Football as the Pokes will travel up to Natchitoches this weekend. You mentioned your offense, and you were struggling in the first half, but you finished the day with 420 yards of total offense. You put 285 on them on the ground. You got to like the evolution on that side of the ball and how you guys are developing.
We are. We're making tremendous strides there. We didn't throw and catch the ball as well as we would like to going into the game. Cody was questionable. We didn't know if he would be able to play, so we had to cut back on things with him just for not to allow him to get hit. And so we scaled back tremendously. He's generally a dual threat guy for us, and can really affect game and make defenses have to account for his style. And so we kind of held that to the vest, and we played him and play call and limitation just because he was banged up pretty good. But, you know, at every position, and probably even the quarterback position in this week, we'll continue to sprinkle some more guys in to develop our football team, that we have guys who have taken meaningful snaps, and we're not trying to figure this out in what will not be a spring season. This is our spring. And so we have to figure out who can and who can't right now, no different than if it was spring football in a regular traditional time frame.
How does your week work, Coach? What's your week look like in now that you seemingly are in a normal week of preparation here in a game week on Saturday?
Yeah, so we get going. Here's the tough thing, Jordy. It's funny you asked that. And so with our little APR piece that I talked to you about,
yep.
Traditionally NCAA requires you to take one day off in the week because of our APR sanction deal that we're coming out of because of how well we've done academically. And I hope you don't mind if I throw this out there. We went 2.98, 3.1, 3.3. And last spring, the summer, and the fall, and so we're making those strides, and we're coming from underneath.
Wait, Coach, when you say that, is that the average grade point of your team?
It is.
Wow.
It's the highest it's been in the history of the university. So in the fall, we were at a 3.28. In the summer, we're at a 3.1. And in our first semester here, we were 2.9, up from which was not good. Mm-hmm. And so we've improved dramatically there. But here's what they've done. They've taken 2 practice days away from us. And so we only can practice. We go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, walk through on Friday because our NCAA sanction requires us to have another day of academic. So in the midst of all that we're going through, we also have to forfeit another day of practice and dedicate it to academics in this spring.
Coach, I mean, I'm going to take away your headsets and your whistles for Saturday, too. I mean, goodness gracious, man. I mean, if it just, all right, I mean, it just when you wake up, okay, you got another thing you got to deal with, but.
Right. So just hang in there with me. We're going to get there. I promise you. We just got some things we're overcoming to get us there, some challenges, but we're just the men for the job. We'll conquer them, but there are some challenges right now.
Every Tuesday, hear from the man, Frank Wilson, who's facing it head on, as you hear, every week here as the McNeese State football team is on the road this week. They will take on Northwestern in Natchitoches. Remember to follow the Pokes on Twitter and check in with Coach Wilson every Tuesday here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Thank you as always. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk next week.
Go Pokes. Thank you, baby. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All day. There he is, Frank Wilson. Frank Wilson checking in from Lake Charles this morning. I mean, my goodness, bro.
I mean, could they stack the deck anymore against this guy?
I mean, are you kidding me, man? And by the way, you don't have any footballs to play with. I mean,
we're not giving you a pump either. We'll find some air.
What else?
How many games do they have left?
This is their 4th game coming up, so I believe they play 8 to 10 regular season games. So I mean, they're in it. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to ask him how you use these days, because we are watching the building blocks of a program being reconstructed. I mean, we're listening to him explain it every week on how he's doing it and the challenges that he's having to deal with. He's the absolute right guy. He's a Louisiana guy at McNeese, leading the program, and we appreciate him every week.
A little Hard Knocks.
Yeah,
get an update every week.
Absolutely.
I love that photo of him. We need more.
I know, that is good.
More action shots.
We're brought to you by Hub International. Hub International is the insurance agency of the New Orleans Saints and the New Orleans Pelicans and the Jordy Culotta Show. Make Hub your insurance agency today. Looking forward to our conversation with Ben Mintz that is coming up here in a couple of minutes. But I am still a little shook from the text message.
How can he not
from
be?
Vitale.
He's waking up thinking about you, dude.
Like,
he went to bed with you. He woke
cannot
up with you.
Get over the fact that he is still believing in his head that he did not try to derail the show, the game on Saturday with his take. Forget the fact that he dropped another. They should name the court after Dale Brown take. On say, hey Dick, call the 2021 SEC championship game. It's happening right in front of your face.
And it's a good one.
Nobody gives a damn about the allegations that people have been talking about for 3 years, that there's no weight there. When you got some evidence, when you got when you got it in your hand and you're ready to talk, come see us, man. Until then, shut the bleep up. Like, I think I remember having this same rant over a year ago. I cannot believe there is somebody on Dick Vitale's team that doesn't say, hey, man, shut up. Stop. You sound dumb. Seriously. Quit going after LSU publicly like that. You're back into a corner, man. I mean, it's crazy that ESPN still allows this guy to call the game because of how jaded he is, of how biased he is. I mean, he had to get that take in on Saturday. How forced was that? It was almost as forced as coming back from the break. Mike, throw me one of those books up on the shelf right there. Just toss me one of them. We're coming back from the break on Saturday, and Vitale is starting it like this. To buy his book. He's peeking over the top, peeking over the book. Buy my book. Go to dickvitale.com. Buy my book. Dick, the game's happening. Trendon Watford is owning Alabama in the paint. Call the game. For God's sakes, nobody wants the court named after Dale Brown anymore, man. They've been talking about that at the board of directors level for almost a decade. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. There's no need to bring it up at the SEC championship game. Nobody wants to see the graphic of you telling future recruits and student athletes not to come to LSU. I mean, my God, what are we talking about, man? Seriously. And you're going to get up and text me an essay on how you believe you're still right after you watch the tape?
Jude Sansing wants to know how big is the text size on his phone. I'm guessing 42.
It's got to be huge font.
I mean, if you send him something like, dude, if you send him a message that long, it'd take him a week to read it.
I mean, this is a joke, man. I mean, and I agree with people. Dick, why do you give a damn what's going on locally in Louisiana, bro?
I know. Why
do you care what Jordy Culotta is saying?
He
Like, if I was on his team, I'd be like, yo, bro, he has a mosquito on the horse's ass. Like, leave this chump alone. And, I mean, he told me 3 times, all right, that's it. Not texting you back. Have a good day. No problem, Dick. You too. And another thing. I thought you were leaving.
He's walking out the door, coming right back in.
I mean, last night, I'll never talk to you again. Thank you, Dick. I appreciate the times that you have talked to me. This morning, I mean, a paragraph.
He's like a clingy ex-girlfriend.
I mean, stage 10, the Bluetooth unconnected.
Stage 10 clinger.
Stage 10 clinger. I mean, Dick. Sheesh. Mincy, I got to connect to the Bluetooth. I'm going to call you right back.
No, you're good. You're on.
Oh, I am? All right, hang on a second. Oh, he hung up. That was a disaster.
You're blue over here. You can.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Stanton Dubois, call him. You know what? I'm asking if we do. Yo, buddy, how we feeling?
Great. Good morning. Super excited. I've been planning this trip out west to Colorado for the last couple months, and I'm heading out tomorrow morning. So I'm super excited to get out there.
Wow, Mincy, that's got to be good. I saw the 9 o'clock run last night. How was that?
It was good. It was good. You know, you can't skip Mondays, man. It's just one of those things. If you skip a Monday, it messes your whole week up. So I was glad to get it in and feeling good, and really pumped about the Colorado thing, though. So, like, Barstool hadn't really done too much, I don't think, so far with the Denver area. I mean, obviously it's big nationally, but I'm trying to go out there and break the new frontier. We're doing Playboy Marty and me are going to do content at the Barstool. We got a new $1 million Barstool sports book at the Ameristar at Blackhawk, which is 30 miles west of Denver. And I'm just getting out there for a little Denver St. Patty's Day. Jordy going to a time machine dance party tomorrow night at Cervantes. Let's go.
Wow, bro. I can smell it from here. It's going to be some good entertainment.
Oh, yeah. I'm dressing up. And we've got a big special guest lined up for after dinner in Denver already. Going to be decked out in St. Patty's gear, ready to get a little weird.
All right, Ben Mintz joining us here as we switch the microphones. Mincy, tell me what you got going on. I remember to the day you and I talking about projects that we wanted to bring to New Orleans and the state of Louisiana, and always hoped we could get a platform where we could reach the people. You have the biggest platform in sports now. You're becoming one of the biggest players on the largest platform at Barstool Media. And with that, you have launched, or Barstool has launched, an ode to Drew Brees after he made it official 15 years to the day after inking with the Saints. He retired from the Saints, and you guys got a great project happening up at Barstool.
Yeah, so basically what's actually funny is the real story behind. So we launched a shirt that's the first ever. Honestly, Jordy, I try to take all these moments, try to slow down and enjoy it. Unreal that I get to launch the first ever Barstool New Orleans shirt. I mean, I'm always going to remember that. That's a big deal to me. But so Drew Brees, so basically we had these shirts planned, Jordy. They were actually going to launch after the Saints beat the Bucs in the playoffs. And when the Bucs won that game,
sounds like a
we
Katie
had to
tweet.
shelve it. Yeah, we had to shelve it. And so when Brees announced his retirement on Sunday, I'm like, we got to get these damn things out. Because we've already got them made. And so when he announced his retirement, I was like, this is the perfect spot to do this. And it ties in. I don't know if anybody saw my speech. I kind of mentioned my video on Twitter yesterday. But I said this and I reiterate this. I'm really lucky with all the culture from Louisiana and New Orleans specifically that they hadn't had any Barstool people up there yet. So I get to be the one that kind of shows it to the nation and Stoolies. And when you look at everything that's happened in New Orleans with COVID, obviously it's just wrecked the economy. It's time for the comeback. And, I'm looking forward to showing, the Stoolies all the real NOLA, all the festivals and Mardi Gras and Jazz Fest and Frenchman Street, the restaurants, the music. And, I feel like a little bit of a calling to this after I lived in NOLA from 09 to 14. And, I'm just super excited to get involved. It's kind of really, it was when I got hired by Barstool, maybe the first thing I thought was all the stuff with New Orleans I want to do.
And I mean, like, this is just the beginning, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you talk about the potential of what could be.
Yeah, and one thing, too, they announced New Orleans announced Hogs for a Cause. The barbecue festival is going to be on June 4th this year. That raises tons of money for pediatric cancer. I'm going to try to get involved with that for sure because I'm a big fan of what they do. I think it's a great cause, a lot of great music and barbecue and networking. Fun event, but that's kind of going to be the first thing I think I get involved with. But, man, just can't wait to roll up my sleeves and get to work on this New Orleans thing. It's just one of the best cities in the world, and I want the Stoolies nationwide to see that.
This is a gambler's dream this time of year. There's so many sports happening, and with March Madness on the horizon, how are you going into this bracket season? How you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling good. First of all, I want to give a shout out to that basketball game LSU played on Sunday was one of the. I mean that was one of the best 5 SEC games I've seen in my entire life. I think
it was great.
Start to finish. I mean, just unbelievable. Back and forth. I thought Trent Watford's performance was just, I don't even really know what words you can use for how good it was. It's unfortunate that tip end didn't go in at the end. But what an effort for LSU. And, man, what a run in the SEC tourney, too. I mean, just you see that they play, the defense has improved, it looks like, the last few weeks. And, we all know the talent with Javonte Smart, Watford, and Cam Thomas on offense. I know Darius Days kind of struggled on Sunday, but he's usually a rival, too. I mean, what a talented team, and just what an awesome game just as a sports fan. I thought it was just beyond incredible. Kind of got a bone to pick with the committee, Jordy. I think you'll get this comparison. The people that do this NCAA basketball committee, it must be the same people that are Heisman voters that turn in their ballots for the championship weekend.
Yep.
Because how you give LSU an 8, and then you give Georgia Tech a 9 after they win the ACC when Clemson's horrible and gets 7, and then Oklahoma State gets a 4 after they beat 6 ranked teams in 19 days. I mean, there's always going to be something wrong, but I just don't understand. It seems like they've already made all the decisions for the championship weekend, and I think that's kind of a shame.
You can dub me all you want, conspiracy guy, tinfoil hat, all that stuff. But look, I've never hid from the fact that Will Wade and I are friends, and they got it out for my boy. I mean, there's no other way to put it, man. I mean, he didn't get a call all week at the SEC tournament, and then he gets into the selection room after that effort and what he puts out on film, and they put an 8 seed next to him with no explanation. I mean, look, man, I get it. Like, at this point, it's obvious. I mean, Vitale and Ravitch tried to railroad the broadcast nearly tried to railroad the broadcast on Sunday, talking about the allegations and naming the court after Dale Brown. I mean, you can feel it and sense it from every corner nationally that the hooks are out, man. They want a piece of Willie Wade, and they want him now.
No, that's certainly apparent, and I'm interested. So I know a little bit about St. Bonnie, and I know they won the A-10. This is kind of an interesting spot for LSU, though. like, I feel like if LSU struggled with anything this year, it was like, I mean, you can't say they won't be motivated at the NCAA tournament. They're going to be pumped. But you go from that SEC championship run, and then they know they have Michigan second round if they win. I know Will's a great coach. They should be ready. But I don't know. It's just like it's a little bit of a low spot if there is one for an 8-9 game. But it's the NCAA tournament, so hopefully that doesn't matter.
We had Kermit Davis on last week on game day on the day of the game of LSU and Ole Miss. And you had to be proud of the way that the Rebs competed over the last 2 weeks of the season. And to go to your theory and to go to what you're talking about, like very comparable to Heisman voters turning in their ballot before championship games in the end of the season, it looked like the tournament wouldn't even have mattered on what Ole Miss did when judging by the seeding after the weekend. But they seemed like that they were a bubble and a tournament team towards the end of the year.
No, I got to give huge props to Kermit. You're talking about an Ole Miss team that was 3-6 in SEC after they lost at Athens, Georgia. I'm an eternal optimist that even I said, this thing's probably done. And they finished 8-3 in their final 11 games, 7-2 in their final 9 SEC games. But I thought the second half in the Ole Miss LSU game Friday was incredible too. It was a 29-27 game at the half, which I thought favored Ole Miss because they're trying to play the lower scoring style and not run with LSU. But, Jarkel Joyner, the Ole Miss two-guard, played his best game of the year to keep Ole Miss in the second half. And, you mentioned it. Georgetown and Oregon State both stealing bids. Georgetown won the Big East tournament, and Oregon State won the Pac-12 tournament. Did do Ole Miss any favors. But you mentioned it. I mean, Ole Miss finished number 4 in the first 4 rounds. Even if they beat LSU, they're second or third, judging by what the committee just did to LSU with that 8 seed. So, just proud of the effort for Ole Miss, headed to the NIT, but make the best of it playing weekend Tech. But thrilled to have Kermit. He's recruiting really well, too, at Ole Miss, which doesn't have a ton of good basketball tradition. So I know we got the right guy, and, certainly happy with the effort, Steve.
Tell our listeners on how they can get the NOLA Drew Brees shirt.
Okay, it's on my Twitter. I've got a link all over my Twitter at Barstool Mintz. The shirt's awesome, though. Huge fan, and I thought, it's kind of like the winds have changed. The end of the Drew Brees NOLA era and the beginning of the Barstool NOLA era that I'm hoping to start. So I kind of think it's kind of two roads kind of hitting, going different ways there. But it's all over my Twitter and my Instagram at Barstool Mintz. The link's on the Barstool Sports site, but there's so much merchandise that's almost kind of hard to surf sometimes. But very excited about this week. Can't wait to get to Colorado. And, Jordy, I always appreciate you having me on, man. And looking forward to this LSU NCAA tourney run. If they can beat St. Bonnie's, Michigan's kind of limping in here. I mean, what a classic second-round matchup that could be.
I'm with you, man. You can catch Michigan without Isaiah Livers, and potential run is on. But you got to get past the Bonnies first. You can't overlook them. Mintzy, enjoy your trip out west. I'm super jealous. I would love to be in the state of Colorado right now. Especially celebrating St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, yeah. Because I hadn't gone anywhere for 2.5 months. It's the South trip for the holidays. So, ready to get back. It feels like, COVID obviously not over, but feels like we're in the fourth quarter of it.
Yeah.
A lot of good times are ahead. And so, super pumped. And, I know you've been getting out to I want to mention, I know you've gotten out to Beauvoir Park to the music fest this week, too. Y'all have fun with that. Jay's throwing it down, man.
They're crushing it. They're crushing it, man. I mean, they're sold out every night. And the potential of this thing is festivals. I mean, like, you're thinking Grand Plan. They're killing it at Beauvoir Park. Enjoy your trip. We'll talk soon.
Yep.
Always. Always, every time.
Like
it's
Does he
his
do
brand.
it? Does he do
Set your wristwatch.
It's like his brand. It's like his brand. Remember, Falaya Real Estate. Everything has changed. Isn't it time technology made buying or selling a house easier and a whole lot cheaper? Introducing Falaya. From virtual tours to push-button offers, Falaya is redefining how real estate is sold. For more information, visit Falaya.com or on the app. Download it today. Falaya is where you can find the app to get in touch with Barrett Blondo and Falaya Real Estate as we link up with LSU head baseball coach Paul Mainieri here on the Jordy Culotta show. As Coach Mainieri will stop in here on game day, as we appreciate his time. Here is the Tigers, 5 winners last week, winners of 5 last night. We're getting.
I think Vitale might have gotten to him.
Hello.
Oh.
Hey, Coach, how are you? Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Thank you for joining us. We are live. Sorry, this is a new little method here as we get to you pretty quickly. So thank you for joining us.
Okay, sounds good, Jordy.
Coach, your team, the power, the home runs, midway. I mean, where we are now. Any expectation that you would be at this number at 33 going into your first SEC series?
Excuse me. Boy, talk about home runs. It chokes me up. Isn't that amazing?
So surprising.
It is. I'll tell you. No, I really had no idea. I knew we had some guys that could hit, and I knew we had some powerful guys. I thought that Dylan Cruz brought a whole different attitude to our team this fall when he arrived on campus. You know, his presence on our just out on the ball field just brought a air of confidence to our team. You know, that a young man with such talent and skill and could hit a ball with such authority. You know, it did. It just changed the whole attitude among our team as far as swinging the bat. But I didn't realize that some of the other guys would swing with the bat with such power, especially Cade Doty. You know, we knew Cade Doty was going to be a good hitter. He was really good hitter in high school. We thought we might lose him into the draft, and the knock on him was that he didn't have enough power. You know, they projected him as a corner infielder, and was he going to hit enough home runs? And people didn't know if he would hit enough home runs to project as a third baseman, so he's probably going to be a third or fourth rounder out of high school. You know, he thought he'd be better than that. And, his freshman year got off to a little bit of a slow start. He's hitting a lot of hard balls, but right at people, so batting average was a little bit low, and then he started getting hot right when the pandemic hit. But, had displayed a little bit of power, but not what he's showing now.
Yeah.
And now he's starting to just kind of blossom before your eyes, and you just never know exactly what's going to happen with kids as they grow and they get older and they physically mature and so forth. But you look at Doty, we knew Cruz had the potential to do that. But how do you predict that a freshman like Jordan Thompson's going to hit the home runs like he did, or Zach Arnold? Zach Arnold was classified. We never even got to see Zach Arnold play. He was kind of an emergency recruit for us after we lost Christian Cairo when he signed after he had come onto campus. So we took the word of some scouts that we knew, and he was kind of thought of as a good field no-hit guy, but had some hitting potential. And all of a sudden he's banged out 4 home runs. Those are things that you just couldn't predict. But it's been great. We knew Brody Drost had some home run power. We hoped for some other guys, and actually the guys that we thought would provide the home run power, like Cade Veloso, for example, has not provided it yet. So I still think there's more in there for our team, and hopefully we'll be able to keep it up. But so much of it has to do with the climatal conditions. It's been unseasonably warm early. We've had some prevailing wind. Not that it's, helped our home runs. It just hasn't hurt our home runs. Sometimes you get that northerly wind blowing in where it's cold early in the season, and it's virtually impossible to hit home runs. We haven't had too much of that. We had 1 week of it a little bit. Today's supposed to be a nice day for hitting, I think. This weekend is supposed to be more of a north wind where it's going to be blowing in, so we may not see much this weekend. But I think it's just been kind of a perfect storm for us.
6:30 first pitch tonight as LSU will take on Southeastern. Coach Paul Mainieri joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We've had a chance to talk to Eddie Smith, Coach, and how much does the mentality of hitting go to the leader? I've always said that, the LSU hitting coach is kind of a thankless position. You don't necessarily give him praise when they're doing well, but you're always criticizing that position when they're struggling. When they are experiencing this power success, is that something that Coach Smith is teaching to the group from a mental or physical standpoint?
Well, you're exactly right about that. First of all, Jordy, it's like the offensive coordinator in football.
Yeah.
Everybody expects the football team just to move up and down the field all the time, and nobody wants to give credit to the coordinator. But when they don't score a lot of points, everybody wants to criticize them. And hitting coaches are the same way. You look through the major leagues, it's the same way. Everybody always wants to point the finger at the hitting coordinator. But I've said this many times, and I didn't coin the phrase, but it is true. Hitting a baseball is the single hardest, most difficult thing to do in all of sports. I don't care what sport you're talking about. You have to take a round bat and hit a round ball squarely, and it's traveling harder than it's ever traveled. I've never seen so many kids throwing the ball in excess of 90 miles an hour. And you run out there against Texas San Antonio. I think we counted 7 guys throwing over 90 miles an hour.
Wow.
It's just the kids are throwing harder than they ever have before. They have different pitches. It's more difficult to hit than it's ever been before. And, you can't just make a kid have the skill to be able to hit. You can work with them. And I've watched Eddie Smith. I've watched all of our hitting coaches through the years. We've had outstanding hitting coaches the entire time that I've been here. And all of them have done a terrific job. They work really hard with the guys. They the hours they put in, the confidence that they instill, the knowledge that they give to them, the approach that they work with them, and so forth. But once that hitter steps into the batter's box, it's a battle between him and the guy standing 60 feet 6 inches away. And you can't do much more to help them once they step into the batter's box. Now it's man against man, and it's up to the kid to be able to do the job. And sometimes they succeed and sometimes they fail. If you fail 70% of the time as a hitter, you're still considered a very good hitter, maybe the best there is. And dealing with the failure is a big part of being successful. That's one thing that I think Eddie is really good at. He doesn't panic when kids have a bad at bat. He's very positive with them, but he does try to get them to hit the ball hard. That's something that he very much emphasizes. But you can't have it both ways. If you're trying to hit the ball hard, then you're going to swing and miss a lot too. So, you take the strikeouts, but you also take the power. If you want to be a bunch of slap hitters and, slap the ball to the opposite field and take a bunch of singles, you may not strike out as much, but you're not going to get the hitting the ball with authority. So I think Eddie Smith is a great, not a good, but a great hitting coach. But having good hitters makes you a better coach too.
Yeah, for sure. And he is he's a great conversation. He's a great interview in his insight, in his teaching of hitting. Because like you said, it's the toughest thing in sports to do. I can imagine trying to teach that to somebody else is very challenging. As well as Paul Mainieri joins us here on game day, 6:30 first pitch tonight at the box, Southeastern in town. They're led by a local kid in Jacob Burke, who is Will Safford's old teammate at University High, and the Lions are winners of 8 in a row, Coach. What do you make of this mid-game matchup tonight?
Well, Matt Reiser does a really great job with that Southeastern program. J.R. Teague did such a super job for so many years. Now he's the athletic director. Matt Reiser was his assistant. He took over as the head coach, and he's kept them going. A very underrated program in our state. Our state has such good college baseball across the board. You look to the west at McNeese State and UL, and you look to the east, the Southeastern, you got Nichols, Tulane. You go north, you see, you look at Louisiana Tech, who just beat Arkansas the other day. You see UL Monroe and Northwestern State. I mean, there's good college baseball all over the state. And we play, I forgot to mention UNO, of course, my former school with Blake Dean. But, we play them all, and they're all great games. And it's an important game for those schools to play when they play LSU. I mean, this is the reality. And it's their chance to be on the big stage. And in all honesty, it's a game where those kids are highly motivated because many of them wanted to go to LSU, and we can't take everybody. You're limited by roster size and so forth, and a lot of them want to prove that they should have gone, been recruited to LSU, and they should have gone to LSU, whatever. And they're highly motivated when they play against us. And our players have to be ready to accept that challenge. This is part of the deal when you're playing at LSU is you're going to get everybody's best shot. You can't be afraid of that. You have to be honored by that. It's not an ego thing. It's just that's the reality. And you have to be ready for that challenge. You have to embrace it, and you got to go out there and you got to respect your opponent, every opponent that you play. And it's easy to respect a team like Southeastern Louisiana because they're so good every year. We have always had great games with them, and we have the ultimate respect for them. And I'm sure that tonight they're going to come out and play just as hard as they possibly can. As you mentioned, they've won 8 in a row. They've been out to the West Coast and played, well, not quite to the coast, but they went out and played Arizona, a 4-game series, and played them very tough. This weekend, they beat Sam Houston State, who traditionally is a very good program, and they swept them 4 games, 3 games with freshman starting pitchers, which will tell you something. Jacob's having a great year, leading the way for them. It's going to be a great ball game tonight. So I'm excited about it. Our players are excited about it, and hopefully we'll have 50% capacity there tonight and have a great environment.
I can guarantee you will have 50% capacity this weekend with Mississippi State in town. How do you begin to scout the Bulldogs? When does that process begin for you with a game on deck tonight and a 3-gamer versus is one of your biggest rivals in the conference coming in this weekend?
Well, our total attention is on the game tonight.
Sure.
You just got to take them one at a time in this sport, not look too far ahead. But I'd be lying if you don't have, an eye on the future as well. We've watched, many of their games. The games are all on ESPN Plus, and you can watch them. When you're waiting for your game to play, and you're playing at night, and they're playing in the afternoon. You're watching the game on your computer in your office, and they've had some exciting games. They had walk-off win this weekend, the same day we did. They had a walk-off home run. They had a very spirited series with Tulane a weekend ago where they walked off Tulane, when it looked like they were going to get beat. So, they've got a real talented team. They've got a relief pitcher named Landon Sims that is unbelievable what he's done so far. He's struck out like 30 batters, I want to say, in like 12 innings of work. I mean, he's averaging almost 3 strikeouts an inning. Against some really great competition. They've got a really good starting pitcher, left-handed pitcher, McLeod, the first night starter. They've just got a really good, solid program. The Mississippi State LSU rivalry has been a solid rivalry since Ron Polk coached against Skip Bertman.
Yep.
It's probably the rivalry that made the SEC take college baseball serious. In all honesty, Ron Polk went to Mississippi State and just shoved it down their throat and made the administration take college baseball serious. And then when Skip came here a few years later, and of course Skip knew what he was doing and built the program here, and all of a sudden there became a natural rivalry between two schools. And, people looked around and all of a sudden there was these big crowds coming to the games. The teams are going to Omaha, and athletic directors and presidents, around the league started looking around saying, geez, I wonder if we hired a good coach and put some resources into our programs, maybe we could have programs like Mississippi State and LSU, and we could have something that we could be proud of and maybe even become self-sufficient as well. And that's how the SEC was born in the sport of college baseball. And now you look around, you got 14 schools that are all capable of winning the league or going to Omaha. Most of them are ranked in the top 25. So we have Skip and Ron Polk to blame for this situation we're in now.
It's a beautiful series every time you guys get together. I mean, just the colors and the passion and the intensity and the players and the coaching that these programs bring to one baseball field is always exciting. One more, I'll get you out of here. I appreciate your time on game day, Coach. What have you made of your pitching up to this point? It's been a roller coaster ride with Jaden, but it seems like Marceau, leading the conference with a 0.0 ERA. What have you made of your frontline guys and guys like you'll be throwing tonight, like Helmer's coming in to build this bullpen and rotation?
Well, if you look at our starting pitching, we've had 4 weekends, those 3 weekend starters. So you've had 12 starts out of those guys. Jaden had one obviously poor start where he didn't make a first inning, and AJ had one start where he got banged around by Louisiana Tech. But outside of that, the other 10 starts have all been not just good, they've been great. Basically virtually shut out. AJ gave up 2 solo home runs the other day. Outside of that, I don't think they've given up a run. So you can't ask for better starting pitching than that. That's been just absolutely phenomenal. Will Helmer's in his 2 starts has been amazing, in the midweek. And so, yeah, from a starting pitching standpoint, it's been about as good as you could hope for. Not so much from the bullpen. We've it's still a work in progress. We really got to get Devin Fontenot back to the Devin Fontenot that we've always known. And he started to show that in his second performance this past weekend. I really felt Devin took the ball and really competed hard and was out there giving it his all. And that's how Devin pitches his best, when he's out there just grunting and groaning and letting it go. And I thought he did that on Saturday. And that's what we need out of him. But we've got some freshman guys that I think are really going to blossom. Garrett Edwards, I think, is going to be a special guy for us. So is Ty Floyd, Blake Money. Some of the other guys the more they pitch, the better they're going to continue to get. I'm glad to see Mikhail Hilliard throwing the ball well again. So, I think in time our bullpen's going to shape up. We're going to need them. I mean, you can't win without a good bullpen, and I believe the potential is there for them to be good, and hopefully Alan Dunn will work his magic with them, and we'll be able to close out some games and not have to make it so exciting in the bottom of the last innings.
Yeah, Mikhail Hilliard picked up his second win over the weekend as he's 2-0 on the year. So good to see Mikhail throwing the ball well here early in the season. Big one tonight at the box. Huge one this weekend with LSU Mississippi State. Southeastern tonight, 6:30 first pitch. A couple of minutes with the head man, Coach Paul Mainieri, here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Always appreciate the time. Go get him tonight and this weekend, Coach. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good, Jordy. Thank you.
Yes, sir. There he is, Paul Mainieri checking in from LSU Baseball. It is soupy in here, bro.
I mean, that's all I can think about.
I mean, like
it's like a petri dish.
I mean, it's hot in here. The undisclosed location, couple of things we didn't think out with launching in the winter was how hot it was going to be
during the summer.
During the
it's
spring,
not even summer.
I don't know what it. I mean,
summer in here.
You
summer.
You could
summer
die
in
in
here,
here.
yeah.
You could die in here.
You could die in here. You could absolutely die in here. 100%. You could die in here.
Hey, how many invites have you gotten to the series this weekend?
To Mississippi State?
Yeah.
2.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Can you just
Why have you gotten any? You got any? 0. Well, I mean, 50% capacity. Yeah, let's crank that on.
I mean,
Last
just there's
12
gonna. I
minutes.
mean,
Why
for the good
not?
of the people,
Why
the show will
not?
get better.
Forget
Everybody
the buzz
can
in the
get over the
background.
sound,
Any
I know.
questions for the JC show that is inside of the chat, inside the bunker? Remember, Go Chevrolet and Just Winging It, helping us out with our bracket. We're giving you a chance to walk away with a brand new car. Who wants a Chevy Spark? Who wants a car? This is like the Oprah Winfrey the Oprah Winfrey show.
You get a car.
You get a car.
You get a car.
You get a car. All it takes is a perfect bracket.
So
You
if
got to
we-
fill that out at jordyculattashow.com.
If we get 4 perfect brackets, is that 4 Chevy Sparks out the door?
That would be a question for Lee Carney and Nick Richard.
that's
They're
illegal.
illegal. They're illegal, and they have posted the rules and regulations. Only 1 bracket per entry, so you can't come in here and paint 70 brackets and hope to walk away with a car.
I don't think anyone in this room can win, though, right?
I don't know. That
Why
has
not?
not been determined. I
If
mean,
I
a
win,
perfect
I
bracket
win.
is a perfect bracket.
Yeah,
If I win, I
can't
win.
rig that.
If Jordy
I
Culotta
mean-
wins the Jordy Culotta Show
for
bracket
real.
and wins a car, I don't know what to tell you.
Yep.
You know what
We're
I mean?
sparking out of here.
I'm going Dickie V on all of y'all. I went back and watched the tape. I saw the whole thing. It's legit. Give me my car.
I'll text you in the morning.
Give me my keys. So check out Go Chevrolet. Make sure you have logged on to jordyculattashow.com and entered the bracket. It already feels better.
I mean, can we ask? Can they tell?
Yes. I
And
mean,
let us know if
Can
you
y'all
hear the
hear the
AC
hum of
because
the
it's a
unit?
game changer.
Does the AC that is on right now in the undisclosed location, how bad does it mess with programming? How bad does it buzz? And it's on low? Okay, that's a good sign. All right, we can go up. We can go up. Any questions over there, Nikki?
There's one about Jennifer Lopez if you want to ask that one, but we
should
answered her.
I'll probably punt to Katie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I announced this on the fishing boat, actually, and no one knew yet, like, the split. But then J-Lo came back and apparently made a TikTok yesterday, like, kind of...
Back together.
Yeah. Or saying they never were apart.
And this
But
is
I don't
A-Rod
know.
and J-Lo.
Yeah. Yeah. But
I
I mean...
still-
Is there anything
I
more
don't know.
Miami than
I
just
mean-
breaking up and getting back together the same
I
same
still
day?
think
Nothing happened.
I
I don't
still
know
think
that
they
they
never cut the
did,
cake, though.
though.
They never get married.
They're just engaged.
Yeah, I know, but I'm
they-
saying that they will never get
probably
Just
married.
engaged forever.
Probably
They're
not.
engaged forever.
Yeah.
They will
And
never.
good
They
for
will
them.
never cut
like,
the cake.
Be engaged forever.
Yeah.
So we don't have to go through another.
I don't know.
shitty
That would be a
divorce.
hell of a wedding.
Can you imagine?
I mean, would she perform her own show?
Oh my God, she would have to.
I mean, you got to get up
Shakira
there.
would be up there.
Yeah, let's do that. Small
So, I
invitation
don't know
list.
if
Sounds
they're
like
really apart or
sounds
not.
like J Lo's not letting any females close to
She
A-Rod
is
right now.
not. She's not. So something went down. Clearly, something
Yeah.
went down. We just don't have all the
A-Rod
details.
a player?
For sure.
He always has been. What?
I don't know. I'm trying to feel him out of how he attracts to women if he wasn't famous. Like he's kind of he's kind of a
I have
goofy
zero
guy.
attraction to him.
Well,
he
we
doesn't,
know
he doesn't
that.
have a middle part.
Yeah, he doesn't have a
middle
Yeah.
part.
Doesn't have a butt cut. He's way too polished.
Doesn't move the needle.
Way too polished. He looks like a
something
piece of
about it.
porcelain.
He does.
I mean, he doesn't have any. He looks like a doll.
Yeah,
He doesn't
I mean,
have any
that's not an
wrinkle. He
accident.
doesn't have any crevice. He doesn't have
Well,
any.
I mean, I think he
he's
probably does a lot of
perfectly
work to
shaped- No doubt he
himself.
does.
Yeah.
No doubt he does.
Because he's older,
He
right?
needs to do something. Like grow some hair out, dude. Maybe the beard.
And he's
Mix
like
it
in
up.
that wealthy tax bracket athlete.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's one of those
He is one of those.
big,
Yeah.
wealthy athletes where he's been doing probably Botox and self-care for a
Absolutely.
decade.
Absolutely.
Oh,
know
if
what I mean?
if he stopped, he would just deflate.
Oh, you would? Yeah. You
just
look like
melt.
the grandmother on Something About Mary. Any more questions?
That's it. We asked
That's all
the
they
ones
wanna
that came
know.
up.
It's
Yeah.
about
That's all I
Jayla.
want to know is about Jenny from the block, huh? This is where you come for your pop culture
We'll have an
news.
update on that tomorrow. I'm sure something else will happen today.
Remember the podcast RMB Builders, Rhett Bourgeois and his crew. I don't know. Are they away from your house yet?
Nope, they're still
Okay.
there.
All right. Wow.
Looking good.
RMB Builders 921-7062 or online at rmb-builders.com. Custom homes. If you need some help around the house, if you need reconstruction, remodel, he also has he's got a license to help you out in your commercial building in getting that right. So get in touch with Rhett today. Rhett Bourgeois at RMB Builders. Online, it's rmb-builders.com, or you can call Rhett directly at 921-7062. Quick piece of information before we get out of here. I don't know if this is going to be a problem at the tournament, but this thing is going to be regulated very strict, as they sent 6 officials home for one positive test of COVID, and one official tested positive for COVID at the NCAA tournament. Multiple referees have been sent home from the tournament, controlled environment in Indianapolis due to a positive COVID-19 and contact tracing, the NCAA said in a statement on Monday. Per the NCAA, one official tested positive on Monday, and he had interacted with 5 other officials. All 6 were sent home. 4 of the referees have been placed on a pool of reserves. 2 will not be replaced. The stadium was the first to report it. That Teddy Valentine, Teddy TV is one of them. You know he is
Of
crushed.
course, yeah.
If there is one man on this planet that loves to either see himself or hear himself more than Vitale, it could be Teddy TV, Teddy Valentine.
I wonder if they had contact tracing.
Absolutely, and Valentine and Vitale are kind of one and the same. They love each other. Valentine is one of the officials. John Higgins and Roger Ayers were among those that were sent home from the tournament. So, I don't know, man. You got to watch this stuff.
What about the UConn women's basketball coach? that
Gino
had-
Auriemma?
Yeah.
He's got the
Did y'all
COVID.
talk about that already before I
No,
got here?
no.
But he just had his second vaccine.
I thought you were about to say vasectomy.
No, I don't know if he had a vasectomy.
Well, it takes 4 weeks for it to be effective, so.
On the
Vasectomy?
In the second round.
On the vaccine.
Yep.
After
So
your second round?
Just after getting it at all.
Okay.
Gino Auriemma is not. So he's not. Is
They
he
said
not-
he's going to be around for later in March. I don't know when the women's tournament starts. But, I mean, talk about having a 6-man come out. If you can come out the tunnel, I mean, bring him out at half, get the people going.
What an Italian entrance.
Yeah.
For Auriemma. Did somebody here say save the day?
Oh,
Did you call for me?
unbuttons his shirt, Superman.
All right, there is your show. Good one today. It's in the books. We appreciate everybody for stopping by. Hunt in the studio was great as we were breaking down LSU basketball, some football stories. Spring football starts today over at the Ponderosa. Ogeron and the guys back out onto the field, so we'll be talking a lot about that coming up in the next couple of days. And we appreciate Paul Mainieri for stopping in. We also talked to Ben Mintz, who was here, and Frank Wilson, our weekly conversation with the McNeese head football coach, who are, if you are a young student athlete out there, and you may not think that you can play big-time college football on the SEC or big Power 5 school level, you got to be listening to what Wilson is selling down in Lake Charles and thinking to yourself, man, that sounds like a really cool place and a really cool program that they're building over there, because it's just about his energy. It's about his way and his ability, I think, to communicate, to create change. I mean, like the challenges that it is taking for them just to play football, and what he comes in and talks about each week, and what they've overcome just to get on the field, and then dealing with the APR issues. I really love our conversations each week with Frank Wilson down at Lake Charles, down at McNeese. So hopefully you're enjoying those too. We always appreciate your interaction. Remember, we're urging you to get over to JordyCulottaShow.com and enter the March Madness bracket, the bracket challenge presented by Just Winging It. Our friends out there, so stop in at JordyCulottaShow.com as we will be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. for a full house here in a stuffy, undisclosed location.
Feels so much better, though.
But it does.
This is
It
going to
has.
be. I'm just going to have to
It
mandate
has.
it. We have to team vote. I think it's unanimous.
And I've seen, like, I don't hear the AC at all. It's on, man. We're never doing another show without the AC. Crank it up high, Mike, as we get out of here. Appreciate everybody's interaction. Like, share the link to the YouTube channel. What do we, Nikki, we do 20 away from 1,000?
Yep, we are actually 10 away.
Okay.
989.
Let's not log off until we get to
10
1,000.
away. Okay, yep, all right. That could be a long project.
Yeah.
That could be a long project. We need 10 more subscribers. Spread the word. Like, share.
Steal your mom's phone. Like it on there. Do anything you need to do.
Enter the bracket challenge over at JordyCulottaShow.com. Have a